August 5th, the Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight went underway. Jake Paul was the unanimous winner. Went all 10 rounds. He won by a unanimous decision. Jake Paul is a very polarizing and opinionated topic amongst the sports world, not just the boxing world. I think a lot of people have strong opinions about him and what he has done, good or bad, for the sport of boxing. So we figured we would give our 2 cents on that very topic. So, Steve, you are our resident boxing fan, and you brought this topic to my attention, so I will allow you to have the floor first. It's all yours.
Think about a guy who he started out in Disney Channel. He came into YouTube, and if anyone else, let's say if I don't know, Usher said, hey, I'm going to go box whatever, people probably aren't going to tune in to watch it the way that they tune in to watch when Jake Paul says that he is going to fight Tyrone Woodley, Ben Askren, whatever UFC fighter of the day he decides he wants to fight. But what Jake Paul does that makes him so polarizing is the character that he's become. This villainous, people love to root against me type individual. And people are always, oh, well, Jake Paul, blah, 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 blah. But think about it. Every time you talk about Jake Paul, you're still giving him publicity. You're still talking about him. And that's all he needs to continue the success that he has. Would anybody watch him if he wasn't as egotistical and outlandish as he is? Would anybody watch him if he didn't come up there and act like the tool that we all see? But who is he when the cameras aren't on? And that's the thing that I think everyone needs to keep in perspective is Jake Paul is playing Jake Paul, the character. When the lights are brightest and the cameras are on, that's just what he does. Sure, can he get in a ring with somebody who's never boxed before, throw on some gloves, get some training, and look good for the people who pay to watch a YouTube celebrity fight? Yes, he will be successful in that. We've already seen what happens when he hops in a ring with a boxer, Tommy Fury. He lost. It's the only loss in his career. But you have to look at he's doing this because it's a character. It's an act. It's entertainment. Jake Paul is an entertainer. So if people didn't hate him as much as they do, he wouldn't be as successful as he is.
Yeah, look, you hit it right in the head with saying Jake Paul is a character. Everyone, including Jake Paul, knows that if he doesn't do the antics and says the things that he does, he's not going to get the publicity. He's not going to, no one's going to watch. It's all part of the pre-fight hype. And Jake Paul has done something, I think, bad for the sport of boxing and maybe sports as a whole. We'll see how this develops. But like you said right at the very end, no one really knows what Jake Paul is like behind the camera or when the cameras are off, besides Jake Paul and people close to him, obviously. But I compared him to LeVar Ball, where LeVar was making crazy statements that he probably never actually believed him, and making all these appearances on every major network, was just getting any camera he could to face him and so he could spread his message of my boys are going to be in the NBA, they're going to be successful, blah, blah, blah. And that's all fine, good for them. It's a great marketing scheme. And I'm not taking away from Jake Paul. He's probably a genius by doing what he has done, which is make celebrity boxing actual boxing. So, and you also touched on this point that anyone with money and a platform can really do this, where you go online to all your followers, you start talking smack to someone, I'm going to beat you up, you don't want to fight me, put all the money in, we'll do it whenever, blah, blah, blah. Get a trainer, all that stuff. Anyone can do that. Anyone. If you have a platform and followers and a beef with somebody who will fight you also in the ring, you can do this. Obviously, it's not a boxing draft. You got to train yourself and go into amateur fights and work your way up, right? You kind of get notoriety, you start fighting for titles. But Jake Paul didn't do any of that. Did he train? Sure. You tune in because of how polarizing and opposite he is, where it's like you're watching because, one, you're a Jake Paul fanboy who is rooting for him to prove everybody wrong. You like rooting for him because it's unpopular and he is the cool guy in the scene, all that stuff. So you want to see him win and prove everybody wrong. Or you want to see him finally shut up, get what he deserves, finally get proven that he is not who he says he is, and someone can finally, an actual boxer can go and show that he doesn't have what it takes. And I'm not saying that Jake Paul is not a talented boxer, because clearly he's fighting in professional fights. He has to have some sort of talent. I just think it's going to start taking away from other sports and their entirety.
Jake Paul only made like $1.2 million against Nate Diaz. Compared to his net worth, that's nothing. He does this just because he can. It's an ego thing.
Yeah, and you're not watching these fights because you want to see who's better, who's going to advance to the next, title, who are going to move. You're watching it because you want to watch Jake Paul fight someone. Like, it's not, like I said, I feel like it takes away from the special part of what boxing is. It is what it is. Again, that fight was on Saturday. Jake Paul did win against Nate Diaz in a unanimous decision in 10 rounds. And that is our thoughts, that Jake Paul's kind of sleazy. And
kind of
that sums it up.
Can't knock him as a businessman.
Yeah, no, and it's good for him, I guess. But yeah, those are our thoughts. Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.